Well, hey, what's going on? Welcome into another edition of Chatterbox Reds. Nick Kirby joined by Cory Phillips. Going to talk a little Reds baseball today. Good to have Cory on the program. Cory was a huge part of Chatterbox Reds, our live post-game shows last summer, and Cory has graciously agreed to help us out a little bit this summer as well, and we're really excited to have Cory back. Cory, my friend, it's been too long. How's the offseason treating you?
Man, it's been a long off season. I'm ready for some real Reds baseball. I'm soaking up as much spring training as I possibly can, and I got into the WBC just to soak up some real baseball as much as I possibly could. A little disappointing for the United States, but good to see our boy Eugenio Suarez come through in a big way. So hopefully that bodes well for the start of the regular season. But I'm excited to be back, man. Couldn't be more excited to be on with you, and I really appreciate the opportunity, man. Just excited to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get started, as always, I want to remind you that we do a Chatterbox Reds podcast, audio only. Well, not sort of audio only. We recap each and every spring training game. As we're recording this right now, Reds are in the 8th inning. But after I'm done with this, I'm going to recap whatever happens here at the end of the game. We do that every single morning. Mike and Craig and Greg have been helping me out on the weekends. They do that. I usually do the weekdays. So check that out everywhere you get podcasts. Chatterbox Reds recap at every spring training game. Is we're I think down to 8 games after today, plus the spring breakout game on Thursday, which I'm really excited about. But we'll break that down for you every day. But just want to make sure you know this video is not all. We have more in the podcast feed, so be sure to check that out. All right, Cory, let's start off talking about the World Baseball Classic. I kind of got torn in between how much I could really get into it or not. The negatives is like seeing like the USA pitching tonight. It's like this is the best that the USA has to offer. It's kind of hard to like be fully invested in it, but at the end of the game, you see the Venezuela players crying, and you see how much it means to them and the pride. So I kind of get torn in the middle of like, is this so great, or is this kind of still an exhibition? I kind of had some fun in our Discord, rubbing people about it, calling it an exhibition, being a little bit of a heel on that. But nonetheless, it was great to see our guy Eugenio Suarez back-to-back days have huge hits. Me and Greg talked about this yesterday, Cory. He had struggled in the spring. He had struggled in the World Baseball Classic, coming on the heels of struggling after getting traded to Seattle. Again, 2 games doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's nice to see him as we're getting ready for the regular season, coming up with some big hits. And more than anything, I think you're really seeing kind of the leadership that he can bring to this team.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We all know what Gino Suarez has brought to the other squads. That we had to sit and watch him hit homer after homer when wishing he was still back in Cincinnati. So hopefully he can bring some of that pop back to our lineup. And like you say, just his leadership, his clubhouse personality. It's going to go a long way as far as the Reds, and especially on the back end of the year. It seemed like we started to fall off after the All-Star break last year, and we were kind of missing that leadership. So hopefully with guys like Gino in the clubhouse, man, it'll make a big difference and kind of push these guys over the edge.
Tonight just reminded me how much I love this dude. Like, he is just
Right.
one of the all-time great dudes. When a player gets traded, you kind of forget that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, he's gone. I'm focused on the team we have now. But man, when you see him tonight and how much it meant to him, this game, this whole tournament, it's like, man, I am glad that guy's on our side. I don't know what to expect from him this year. We've dissected it all. I'm just excited he's on the Reds. I think he certainly can help the Reds. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm excited to see Suarez. Man, wouldn't it be great if he just has like a 3-run bomb on opening day?
Just to start us off, yeah. Man, that would be awesome.
The vibes would be immaculate on a Chatterbox
You're not
Reds
kidding.
live post-game show if that comes to fruition. All right, well, Cory, we got a ton of Reds news to talk about because it has been hot and heavy this week. Me and Greg talked about a ton of Reds news yesterday, and then we have more Reds news today. We'll start off with kind of a surprising situation here. Chatterbox Reds is brought to you by Sharefax Credit Union. Sharefax is rooted in Cincinnati with 9 branches across the city. Sharefax is a non-for-profit financial institution owned by its members that returns earnings to them through lower fees and better rates in addition to traditional banking options. They have an auto program going on right now offering 1.5% off your qualified rate when you refinance your vehicle with them. Your first payment isn't due for 90 days. Loan subject to membership and credit approval. Restrictions apply. Visit our website for terms and conditions. Go to sharefax.org to apply online or call 513-753-2440. If knee pain or shoulder pain is slowing you down or your performance on the golf course, the pickleball court, or even in the gym, talk to the care team at QC Kinetix Cincinnati about regenerative medicine options. You can learn more at qckinetix.com or call 513-655-3356. All spring training long, we thought there was a battle for the fifth rotation spot, and, well, there actually isn't a battle because everyone made it. Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, and Brandon Williamson all make the roster. So I'm going to break this down. This is Charlie Goldsmith did an incredible job breaking all this down. I'm going to read through this so you know exactly kind of what we're looking at here. So Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo and Brady Singer are going to start the opening series against the Boston Red Sox. That's next weekend. And then one of Burns, Lauder, or Williamson, they're going to start the first game against the Pirates. That's on that next Monday. And then another one will start game 2. Abbott will start game 3. So whichever one of Burns, Lauder, or Williamson doesn't make the start against the Pittsburgh Pirates will be available in game 1 and or game 2 of that series as a piggyback starter long reliever tandem. Right now, the order of the rotation in spring training has gone Burns, Lauder, Williamson. Burns has been a day ahead of Lauder on the pitching schedule. And so, the Reds are not given this official name. Charlie Goldsmith is calling it a condensed six-man rotation because the Reds are saying it's not a six-man rotation and it's not a piggyback rotation. And Charlie explains it's not a six-man rotation because one of the Red starters is technically going to be pitching in relief. It's not a piggyback tandem start situation because the schedule for the pitchers won't be completely set in advance, cut and dry, or independent of circumstances going into that game. Also, it's something that is very short term. So, Corey, kind of your thoughts overall on this?
I'm excited just because it's like even Charlie brought it up in the article. He said it's a good problem to have. Having that many pitchers is definitely a good problem to have. Seeing the way Brandon Williamson has been throwing the ball in spring training, it's almost hard not to put the guy on the bus. Like he said, he was getting on that bus. He most definitely proved his point. So, in a sense, I've got a lot of questions, but at the same time, I like it. I like having that flexibility. Just kind of looking at the numbers with the few amount of left-handers that we've got coming out of the bullpen, it almost feels like that's where Brandon Williamson kind of fits into this whole thing. But like you say, it's nice to have that flexibility too. If there's a matchup to where the guys are struggling against a left-handed pitcher, they've got a lot of lefties that day, whatever the case may be. Now Williamson becomes your starter, and you got Lauder Chowder coming out of the bullpen or whatever the case is. So I like it. It's a little bit of chaos. I've got a lot of questions because, not even really a lot of questions. My main question is they kept saying it's not a long-term fix. This is something that's going to be short-term. And Charlie even brought it up in the article about giving a deadline of April 20th, and they said they would have it figured out by then. Where's the line there? What happens to make this all of a sudden get figured out? Because it's obviously not Hunter Greene. We're not going to have him until closer to the All-Star break anyway. So where's that line? What is it that has to happen to get this completely ironed out? I guess more questions than answers, but by the same token, I'm excited. Having that many good arms on the staff is never a bad thing.
Yeah, first off, I think it's all credit to Brandon Williamson because I do not think the Reds went to camp expecting Williamson to be in the rotation if they had enough healthy pitchers. But I think he just pitched so well that he kind of forced their hand. And you know what, man? You love to see that. He absolutely deserved it. And you look at these three guys, it's like, you're going to look any of them in the eye and be like, yep, sorry, you're going to go on a AAA and start. No one deserved that. As far as, kind of how this all works out, I think it's important to know that there's a lot of off days early in the year. Now, this can all get thrown into pure chaos if there's rainouts. But we obviously have the off day as we always have the day after opening day. You have an off day again right after the Pirates series. And then you do play a full week that first week in April, but you have another off day that Monday, April 13th. So that is 3 off days in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 series. You have 3 off days. So that makes it, I think, a little bit easier to get by with only 7 relievers, because I think that would be a big issue, is only having 7 relievers. But the fact that you have all those off days, it's going to be easier to kind of keep those relievers. And I think right now, like, Chase Burns is probably not going to be geared up for more than 4 or 5 innings max. So it kind of makes sense to have another guy there. Especially for him. Lauder and Williamson, I think, are probably stretched out a little bit longer, but I don't think either one of them you feel confident they're going to be able to give you 6 innings every time out. So I like that. I love the kind of the comment, like, yeah, we're not going to tell you what we're doing either. Like, screw the Pittsburgh Pirates, man. I love it that they're the team that doesn't know if they're facing Burns, Lauder, or Williamson. Wait till the last minute you have to announce your starter. I love that concept. Mess those guys up as much as we can. Everyone's looking at this Red Sox series in opening week. I'm looking at the Pirates series, those 3 games. I want to beat the hell out of those Pirates those first 3 games. I want to send a message to the Pittsburgh Pirates that, hey,
set the tone.
You had a cute offseason, but we're still the better team. We were better than you last year. Yeah, these are division games. Let's go for it.
Absolutely, and like you say, I never really even thought about that. Trying to game plan for the Cincinnati Reds becomes a completely new headache when you don't know who's coming in as your starting pitcher. So good luck with that, because it could either be 2 of our right-handed hoses, or it could be Brandon Williamson, who's absolutely pitching his butt off right now. So good luck to the Pittsburgh Pirates, but not so much. We're going to come in town and set the tone. I like how you phrased that.
And the Pittsburgh Pirates have 2 positions right now that are probably platoon positions. At least Fangraphs is listing it that way. I think they're going to probably structure their lineup pretty much differently for right versus left. So when you have, Williamson can go, and it kind of can mess that up a little bit. And the more you can do with that, the better. I like that. I don't know why the Reds have always been so against the whole 6-man rotation. Like, they've been pretty steadfast against it. I would love to kind of hear Derek Johnson explain a little bit more detail, like in an interview, because I've seen the Milwaukee Brewers do this over and over again, and it works for them. Now, Derek Johnson and the Reds pitching was incredible last year. It's the reason the Reds made the playoffs. I'm not going to sit here and try to point the finger at them, but I don't understand why they're always so against the 6-man rotation.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought too. I don't know what the ramifications are. They brought it up in that Charlie Goldsmith's article that they were talking about, that Francona was worried about rainouts and stressing the bullpen and that sort of thing. But the amount of rest that it gives your next starter, especially with the inconsistency that we have in those back 3, because we don't know what we're going to get out of Lauder, who didn't pitch last year, Williamson coming off the injury, and obviously what we know of Chase Burns. So having that inconsistency, I'm not sure if it's a hindrance or if it's a help, because we don't know what we don't know yet.
Yeah. We'll have to see how it plays out, and how long they stick through this. They were very clear that this is a short-term solution, and we'll have to see how it plays out. Again, there's also a possibility one of these starters has a shoulder that's sore or something. Something comes up and they need to take a break, and it solves itself, and you're to a normal rotation very quickly. So we'll see how that shakes out. The other piece of this, the Reds have pretty much announced their whole bullpen. I'm kind of surprised they did still so quickly. I mean, still with, I think, 9 spring training games left when they sort of made this news. So Pagan, Santillan, Ashcraft, Burke, Phillips, and Pierce Johnson all secure on the roster. I think probably the only 2 that maybe there was a little bit of a question would be Ashcraft and Phillips. But both those guys, Reds kind of trusting, I think, more what they saw last year than what they saw this spring with either one of those guys, although they have been better of late. So it appears right now, Corey, the final bullpen spot is going to be between Samuel, Kyle Nicholas, Zach Maxwell, Luis May, and Hagen Danner. Me and Greg talked about this yesterday. I have a hard time believing they're going to DFA Sam Moll unless they work out a trade, because I do think someone would trade for him right now. I think either it's Sam Moll or Sam Moll gets traded and you maybe want to keep Hagen Danner. I don't think they're going to put Kyle Nicholas on the roster. I know I know me and Greg were talking about that yesterday. They just haven't seen him at all. He was in the World Baseball Classic. He has an option. I think they're going to send him down to AAA, fair or not. I just don't think they saw enough of him to really put him on the roster. And then Zach Maxwell and Luis May, I think they're pretty safely headed to AAA. Even though they both pitched much better the last, I think they've both thrown each 4 consecutive scoreless outings. They just walk too many guys at this point, and Francona is not dealing with that.
Yeah, if you're coming out of the bullpen, you've got to throw strikes, or there's just not going to be much room for you at all. But like you said, it's pretty much in the cards that Sam Moll is going to be that other spot in the bullpen. Just like you said, to not have any options, number one, and then number two, to have another lefty besides Burt coming out of the bullpen. So I'm pretty sure it's Sam Moll unless something catastrophic happens in the next 9 days. But I think I can agree with you there and kind of get on board with that. And with the Nicholas thing, I don't even think he was getting much innings in the World Baseball Classic either. So gives him a little bit more time to stretch out in AAA and get him ramped up and ready to go when the time calls for it. Because like you say, those things are going to work themselves out and there'll be a spot open before we know it.
Hagen Danner kind of the wild card. I know he's put up some really like impressive stuff plus numbers, and a lot of the pitching analytic guys really like Hagen Danner. My guess is the Reds would probably like to hold on to him as long as possible this spring. I believe some of those type of players that are pitchers, they actually could have like an opt-out that is before you get there, so they could try to get on a team. So I don't know Hagen Danner's contract. I don't think anyone's made that public knowledge. So that's something to kind of watch with him. But he's, I guess, maybe the wild card in that mix. But again, I don't think they're cutting Sam Moll. He's looked really good this spring. He's looked really good at times. I think people forget he's been hurt the last couple years, but my God, that guy was incredible in 2023. I mean, he was
Absolutely
untouchable.
Yeah, that second half of 2023, he was Mr. Consistent coming out of the bullpen. So if we get anything that looks even remotely like that, Sam Moll is worth taking a shot on.
And Terry Francona did clarify that he said it would not be a right-left thing. He would not be keeping a guy because he's lefty or not. I don't think that necessarily meant anything for Sam Moll, but that is probably worth bringing up as well. Will Benson. All off season long, they said Will Benson ain't going to be on this opening day roster. They added all these outfielders, and boy, were they wrong, Corey. Cincinnati legend Anthony Munoz has a new venture, and we're fired up to partner with it here on Chatterbox Reds. Introducing 78 Cigars, a premium cigar line from the Hall of Famer himself. If you love great cigars and Cincinnati football history, this is the perfect combination. You can grab 78 cigars right now at both Montgomery Inn locations and over at Creekside Cigar Company. Or you can check them out online. Just head to anthonymunoz.com and click on the 78 Cigars page to learn more and order today. That's 78 Cigars from the greatest offensive lineman to ever do it, Anthony Munoz. We also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential, secured, anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. Will Benson is on your Cincinnati Reds opening day roster. Pour one out for the haters.
I love it, man. I love it. Will Benson is just that absolute spark, man. And he gets streaky from time to time. Sometimes he'll disappear in the lineup, but when he's hot, man, he is as hot as ever. And I'll never, ever forget that time he hit the game-winning home run against the Dodgers and him slamming the bat and the whole nine. That was one of the most exciting times I've had as a Reds fan. So my heart goes out for Willie B, and I hope he makes the best of the situation, man, because he has deserved it. I feel like he's gone through his ups and downs with the Reds organization, and he has earned this right to be on the opening day roster, and I hope he shines. I really do.
Yeah, Benson had a great spring, as did J.J. Bleday and Nathaniel Lowe. It appears I don't think they've announced Dane Myers officially on the roster. I don't think they've announced Noelvi Marte officially on the roster, but I think those two are probably pretty clearly in, especially Dane Myers, just because of how well he hits lefties, and this lineup does have a lot of left-handed batters. So it appears it comes down to J.J. Bleday and Nathaniel Lowe. I think they're going to go with Nathaniel Lowe just because I think they want to get J.J. Bleday every day at bats. He can be optioned to Louisville, whereas Nathaniel Lowe cannot. We assume he would get picked up. How he's looked solid this spring. He's a guy that has pretty good pedigree. It sucks for JJ Bleday, man. It is not fair at all. He had a great spring, but it's the classic good problem to have, in my opinion.
I think you're right. Just having that flexibility with the second infielder on the bench, with depending on what happens with Spencer Steer and how you kind of view him, because he's a utility guy, but just having that extra infielder gives us a little bit more flexibility coming off the bench. So I'm kind of leaning that way myself. I did see one on Fangraphs that actually had JJ Bleday starting as our left fielder, had Benson and Steer on the bench, and didn't have Nathaniel Lowe on it. But I don't know. It's just something feels off about that one. So I kind of leaning your way, brother. I think Nathaniel Lowe kind of offers that big bat. He's another veteran presence and a young lineup. So I'm kind of leaning that way myself. But if it happens to be JJ Bleday, I can't act like I'll be mad about it, because Bleday's a heck of a player, man, and I really like what he can bring to the roster as well.
Yeah, and you're going to clearly need JJ Bleday at some point this year.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think it. I think for the 2026 team, it makes more sense to kind of get him every day at bats. And because when is he going to play? If he's behind Benson on the depth chart, where is he going to play?
Right.
I mean, we're talking he'd be struggling to get 3 or 4 at bats a week.
Yeah.
And he's still a young player. Nathaniel Lowe's older. I think he could kind of, relegate to a bench utility role, I think, a little bit easier. I don't think it's going to mess him up as much as it would mess up a guy like JJ Bleday, who's been trying to refine his swing and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's an easy, difficult decision. It's an easy decision because of just the way that the roster shakes out. It's a difficult decision because JJ Bleday played his tail off and was great. But so was Will Benson. And
right.
that kind of is what it is.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I don't even know why, and this is just me being crazy, and so I might just be talking off the top of my head, but it feels like Dane Myers might end up being more of an everyday center fielder at some point too. I feel like Francona likes having him in the lineup, the way he handles the bat, the way he walks and commands the strike zone. I could see a day where Dane Myers is a starting center fielder and kind of moves TJ over into that left field corner, and then of course we got Martin, right? I could see something like that happening, but that's just me thinking off the top of my head, being crazy. But I like what Dane Myers brings, man. He's going to be a good threat there in center field, and I like what he does at the plate.
Yeah, Dane Myers has really good at bats this spring. Entering play on Tuesday, he had 11 walks, was tied with 3 players for the most in all of Major League Baseball in spring training. So see the ball well. I don't think he hits right-handed pitching well enough to play every day. His numbers against right-handed pitching have been pretty bad over the course of his career, but he's hit lefties really, really well, and he's a great defensive center fielder. I think he's significantly better than TJ Friedl. I think that will show the more you see him. So maybe he plays a little bit against right-handed pitching just because of how good defensively he is, but I think that would be the reason he would play over the bat against right-handed pitching. But I'm excited about him. I think he's the kind of guy that could really be an underrated piece that has a role that just performs it really, really well. The Reds didn't have enough of those last year. They had some good players, but they didn't have guys that just filled that platoon role and just excelled in that role. I think Dane Myers can really excel in that role. And not to mention, I could see him coming in the game late, especially Noelvi Marte. Noelvi Marte's looked much better at the plate of late. But if Noelvi Marte doesn't clean it up defensively, he's going to be getting subbed out of the game in the 8th inning for Dane Myers early and often, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I never even thought about that because, like you said, we don't know what we're getting in right field yet. So if that's going to rear its ugly head, I can see Dane Myers playing a lot there, especially as a defensive substitution there in the late innings.
Yeah. Well, Cory, my friend, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed chatting with you. Good to catch up with you. We'll have you on as a regular contributor here, helping us out probably on some weekends and a few select days throughout the summer. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun.
Brother, I really appreciate it. I couldn't be more excited to be back and just ready for some Reds baseball and some nice weather because, man, this Ohio crap that we're going through right now has got me up and down, and I'm just ready for some nice weather and some baseball for sure.
Are you saying the 25? Are you saying it's snowing one day and 75 degrees the other is kind of crazy? That's what it's been like up here.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I was in shorts and a t-shirt outside on Sunday, and now we're in about 3 inches of snow. So it's like, good Lord, somebody needs to make up Ohio's mind and just get us to baseball season so we can stop worried about this snow crap.
Well, we're getting closer. We're getting closer, my friend. As always, thanks for tuning in today to Chatterbox Reds. Please like the video if you're watching here on YouTube. Be sure to check out Chatterbox Reds everywhere that you get podcasts. As I mentioned, podcast the morning after every single spring training game. We're going to have podcasts every single day, every single morning, leading you all the way up to opening day. We'll have you covered with all kinds of Reds content. Of course, be sure to check out Chatterbox Sports here on YouTube. Stone Shield Show every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Stone does a great job covering the Bengals and all sports, but really does a great job with the Bengals. Chatterbox Bearcats covering the UC coaching change. They've put out several videos on that. They'll continue to follow that. And then the Flying Lion guys covering FC Cincinnati. We've got it all for you here on Chatterbox Sports. Make sure you subscribe and then hit that bell in the top right corner. Turn on notifications so you're notified anytime that we go live. All right. Well, for Cory Phillips, I'm Nick Kirby. Take care, everyone. Go Reds.